Because there has never been a period in history when women have sex with men that they're not trying to control their fertility. Ain't never happened. Ain't never happened. I mean, Emperor Augustus, ancient Rome, ordered upper-class women to have more babies. Why? Because he didn't think they were having enough. If you don't understand the politics of white supremacy, you don't understand the politics of gender. And so that's why we offer such a sharp critique of people who use a very limited analysis and think that the bans on birth control and abortion and sex education is just about gender. No, it is about deciding which populations should prosper and reproduce and which ones should not.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to The Ride. You're on the mothership inside the Black Woman Magic Room with the greatest podcast on earth, G-Po. And I am one of your co-hosts, Crystal Tennille Irby, mother of 4. And I'm super excited about a praise report that I'm going to give in a couple of minutes.
And I am Thea Monier, mother of 3.
And I'm Nikisha Killings, mother of 4 and no more.
I'm really excited about today's show. Today we'll be talking about abortion, reproductive justice, and Black motherhood. And our guest is none other than Loretta Ross, who is one of the founders of the reproductive justice movement. This was not on my bingo card for the year, but
bingo, bitch.
Yes.
Bingo. So for our OG listeners, you all know that I had the opportunity to meet Elaine Brown once, and whenever I can find a way to drop it into a conversation, I do, because that conversation with her was so impactful on my life, and it was so rich, and it also, I just see some of the things that she spoke to us about when I had the opportunity to meet her. I feel like this conversation will be the same. I'm grateful that Loretta Ross is still here with us. I don't take that for granted. And I don't take for granted that we get to speak with an elder, a founder of a framework and a movement that has given birth to other movements. The reproductive justice movement gave birth to the birth justice movement. It's given birth to the Black maternal health movement. And people are really leaning on and leaning into it now with the reversal of Roe v. Wade and the Dobbs decision and the abortion abolitionist movement that is wreaking havoc on women's reproductive choices in this country. And so I'm really excited that we get the opportunity to talk to her, not only speak to her about that, but some other work that she's doing around cancel culture and calling people in. And so her new book is Abortion and Reproductive Justice, an Essential Guide for Resistance. And it really is a guide. And I'm just grateful that she wrote it down, especially now, because we ain't got to wing it.
Right.
We really don't have to wing it, y'all. We got folks here who can really, really be our guide and who want to be our guide. So I'm excited about that. This episode is like any other episode. We'll start with our church announcements, praise reports, and prayer list requests.
I can't wait to hear this praise
Girl.
report.
Me too.
I don't even know what it is.
Girl.
What I miss.
Girl. And you're kind of included in the praise report. But anyway.
Oh, okay. I don't mind being.
Yeah. And so then after that, we'll move into our mac and cheese and we'll close out with our Black Woman Say. So are we ready?
Yes.
Let's go.
Okay. So card number.
How many
did our
cards do we
cards
have?
go?
Nikisha.
What you thinking?
I was thinking the same thing. I was saying, how many cards do we have?
Do you thinking a high number? Is that why you're asking that?
I was thinking a higher number.
It's 52 cards. Isn't that that's a Jay-Z
52
lyric?
cards went out.
Yeah, so it's 52
Dylan
cards. It's 52 cards. That's how I remember.
I was thinking 32, but I don't know what you were thinking, Nikisha.
32? Let's try that. Let's see that.
Okay, are you ready with numbers this week?
I mean, it's
Thea?
5. Oh, shoot. It's very easy.
Ray,
one.
yeah,
You can
yeah,
go
oh.
Ray,
Okay,
yeah,
let's
yeah.
go with that.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. Oh, Shun has been working in my life. Whew. Without her, I would be really lost.
If it had not been.
If it had not been for Oshun on my side, where would I be? Where would I be Where would I be? Where would I be? Oh, this is a good one. Okay, card 32. 5. We're just gonna say Oreo Oshun. And
Oh, yay.
Bliss awaits.
Bliss awaits. That's card 32.
I don't think we've ever. I don't remember this one. I don't remember
We've never
hearing
done
this
this.
one.
And
Okay.
I do think this is a good, well, I'll say that later. Dear Mama, sometimes on your healing journey, you reach a place where you feel you cannot go any further. Sometimes it's fear, but more often than not, it is bliss we resist. What's on the other side of healing? Is it love, abundance, power? Whom or what shall we fear? Your journey can go deeper and wider than you ever imagined. Take breaks. Offer yourself grace, then go a little deeper. Bliss awaits. I don't know who wrote this.
Is that
I don't know
Thea?
who
That
wrote
feels
that
like
one
Thea.
either.
No?
It could be, but it also
Claim it?
feels like Crystal a little bit too.
I don't know. I don't know who wrote this, but it's a great card.
We'd
and
have to
I
go
think-
back to the
is.
spreadsheet.
Well,
and
I gotta
see,
go to the
girl.
spreadsheet and see. I'll check out the spreadsheet. But I think it's a great card because a
Yeah.
lot of times when we talk about resistance, revolution, movements, and like the time that we're in now, we don't think about bliss. And we don't think
Yeah.
about bliss as a part of the journey or bliss being on the other side, right? So I think this is something just to keep in mind because it says sometimes it's fear, but more often than not, it is bliss we resist. Like we resist the possibility of a life we can't imagine or a life like I don't know how to say total bliss. Like I don't know
Yeah.
another
Like joy-filled is what
Well,
I'm thinking
yeah.
about.
the whole time
Yeah.
I was thinking like, oh, well, that is joy work. That
Joy.
is-
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
but
And that
I
is
love
it.
that.
That is one of the biggest barriers. It's like not imagining it. Like I'll
Yeah.
have clients where I'll be like, okay, 20% of your day is about joy. What would it? Do you believe we can get that to 80? Do you actually think that's possible? And most people will say it's unrealistic.
Yeah, I think though, like with bliss though, like it's even I don't think we can even imagine like just being in just a state of bliss. Like even for like 5 minutes of total just bliss. You know what I mean? Like I think that that's hard for us to imagine like because to me, I think like that's even beyond joy. And if joy is difficult for us, like if we can't even imagine a day that's 20% joy or 80% joy, like even beyond that, is hard. But I think that that's something to keep in mind. So I think that that's relevant to what we're talking about today. Let's do our ancestor quote. Okay, our ancestor quote for this episode is from Assata Shakur and from her autobiography. I am about life. I said to myself, I'm going to live as hard as I can and as full as I can until I die. And I'm not letting these parasites, these oppressors, these greedy, racist swine make me kill my children in my mind before they are even born. And that is from Assata Shakur when she was in prison and decided to have her child. And the reason I chose that quote for today's conversation, it may seem like opposite, but the right to have a child when you want to have a child, no matter your state, is a part of the reproductive justice framework. Your right to parent when and have a child when you want to have a child, and to be able to raise that child in an affirming, nurturing environment is a part of that framework. And so I always thought that was just a very powerful quote coming from someone who was on trial, who was in jail, and decided to give birth. And we often forget about those who are incarcerated. When we talk about Black maternal health, their stories aren't often amplified. So
What episode was that we did the conversation about incarceration and
man.
birth?
with Chantel.
Yeah, that was really a few
years
early.
back. Was
I
that
just
I
think
feel
we
like
should
that was a
refer
Mother's Day
people
episode.
back to that episode. 'cause
Yeah,
that was
I'll
a
put the
really good
link
one.
for that.
Absolutely.
It's called Birthing. I think it's called Birthing Freedom, maybe. I can't remember, but that was really
so
early.
good.
Yeah.
It was really early in our journey. So I'll put the link for that
Yeah, I
in
think
our show.
that's a
And
good
she's
place.
still doing the work, and her work
Yeah.
has expanded. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing. They even have a breastfeeding program now. We did it for our Black Birth Worker Wednesday. We highlighted their breastfeeding program. Okay, so let's move into our church announcements, praise reports, and prayer list requests. Okay.
You gonna go? We got to hear this praise report.
I can go last.
What?
I'll go last. I can go last. Yeah.
Go ahead,
yeah.
Nikisha.
I don't have any church announcements. I don't have any upcoming engagements or anything like that. I, would like to express gratitude for all the birthday blessings you all sent my way. Thank you for the love. And prayer requests, keep my family in your thoughts and prayers, as well as the business I talked about in our last episode, where we are trying to support elders in our community who are experiencing the epidemic of loneliness, as well as the epidemic of being unhoused. And so please continue to send a good thought our way for those efforts. We appreciate it. That's all I got.
And we will keep you in our prayers along your PhD journey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all keep Nikisha in your prayer. That is a journey on many levels. Levels. Yeah.
It is. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, Thea, what you got?
On the prayer request list, I would like to put anybody who didn't listen to Black women.
Ooh.
Good luck with that.
You get it in every episode. One way or the other. You get it in every episode.
Don't waste y'all's prayers.
Sometimes I think, should I tattoo or I told you so on my body?
Said, don't waste your prayers.
Don't waste your prayers. Don't waste your prayers. Don't waste your prayers. You're true. Good point. Good point. You know what? Let me put the Black women who were not listened to on the prayer request.
Pray for us.
That's pray.
Please.
I'll do that.
Yes,
I would do that.
Yes.
I would do that.
It.
Thank you.
For church announcements, I'm really excited and setting up for 2026. Lots of big work around joy, lots of big work around joy and grief. And so as a soft announcement, I guess, it's not super soft. We're looking at our first in-person joy day experiences, like a day of joy experience, being in San Diego area and Atlanta area. San Diego will most likely be February. Atlanta will most likely be in April. So if y'all in those areas, make sure you hit me up and let me know so that I can make sure that you are on the list and aware of what's happening.
And if we're willing to travel, because I feel like I need...
willing to travel. I feel like I need to do one in Florida, but y'all stay.
No,
but
you don't. Don't come here.
Don't do it. Don't do it. So, and then...
We don't deserve it.
That's so messed up. What about the Black people who ain't done nothing?
There's Black people in Tampa and all over. We'll see. We'll see.
We'll go to Atlanta.
We'll go to Atlanta.
Florida will put you on the prayer list.
I'm on one.
I'm
sorry.
No, 100%. And then I'm reopening Hold Us Sacred. It's pretty much invite only in the sense of the communities I'm directly a part of, like DBM, anybody on my newsletter. Before I go to social media or anything about that, I'm really excited to pull from the people who've already been tapping into the work. It's bigger work even than before. And I just want to be able to touch and know the people who are coming. So this is an official invite. If you're interested in being a part of our March cohort, going to Egypt, going to Sharm el-Sheikh, you should. You should reach out. I'll make sure that I give Crystal the link to the interest form. And keep in touch because 2026 is going to be a lot of travel, a lot of in-person, pretty much all in-person for me. And I'm thrilled about it. I'm getting my shit together right now so that I could be healthy. I'm taking my vitamins. I'm going to go, I have flat feet, y'all. So I got to go to the podiatrist and make sure, my shit is right. I'm just getting ready for y'all. So I'm excited.
I feel like with the season that we are already entering into, your work is so needed. More than ever before. And those folks who didn't listen to us are just now starting to see how important this is going to be to sustain us. This joy work is needed. Yeah. So
I'm so excited about it. I'm really, just making sure my house is in order so that I'm not a block to it. But other than that, it's about to be a big fucking year. 2026 is about to be great.
Start thinking about your word now.
Yes, I do. Oh my God. Yes, I do.
Not you telling people to start thinking about their word. Not you.
She's getting us ready. She's different. She's in her PhD program. She's focused.
Not you. Okay.
Don't hate. Don't do me, Crystal. Go ahead and share.
I'm not hating. I'm calling attention to. I'm not hating. I'm calling attention to. I just want to point out things. Just want to point those things out. It's a tight
Okay, I'm
line. It's a
ready.
thin line, but it's a line.
I'm so ready for this announcement.
First, I want to put the family of birth advocate Sunshine Muse on our prayer list. I'm sure many of our listeners are birth workers. For those of you who aren't, Sunshine Muse was critical to the beginnings of the Black maternal health movement, the modern Black maternal health movement that we're involved in today through research, through writing. She was a part of Black Mama Matters Alliance. She was the leader of New Mexico Black Health, and she was an important voice within the alliance, and her energy was just infectious and critical to the alliance as well. So she'll be remembered and she will be missed. And I am just grateful that I had the opportunity to be in community with Sunshine. And so just want to lift up her family, want to lift up other Black birth workers who were in community with her right now as we grieve her death and as we pray for her family and fill that void. Yeah.
Yeah, I say.
Yeah. So next, I want to move into a praise report. I like to watch white shows. In my real life, I don't like to be in white folks' business, but in my TV life, I love to be in white folks' business. So I often watch white shows. And my friend Thea turned me onto this show called The Morning Show.
Yes, bitch. I finished the last episode yesterday. I knew this where you was going. Okay. Let's go.
For those of y'all who can't see me, because this is how I was dancing at the end of that episode.
At the end of yesterday's episode.
Episode 5, I wrote it down. It's episode 5.
Yes.
So
you got to watch this, Lakeisha.
I don't know this show.
It's like 4 seasons in.
Girl, with Reese Witherspoon and Jennifer Aniston.
Where do you watch it? Let me
Apple
make sure.
Apple TV.
Apple TV.
I don't have it.
Oh, girl, just sign up for something.
it.
Apple will
I
give you
just-
free 3
Yeah,
months
everything.
free. Just buy
Yeah.
something on iTunes. You get 3 months free, girl. They giving it away. You probably have it free and don't even know
Yeah, you
it.
probably have.
That's
it.
possible.
Have it free
You
and don't
probably
even
have
know
it
it.
free.
So I want to give a shout out to the morning show, particularly episode 5, Amari. And then on top of that, who I really want to give a shout out to, Vanessa Baden Kelly. Let me tell you something, Vanessa. Let me tell you something, Nessa. Nessa girl. Nessa girl.
Nessa girl.
Nessa?
Yes.
You did your thing. You did
Yes,
your
you
big one,
did.
boo.
Yes,
you did your big one with this episode.
Yes, you did.
Vanessa Baden Kelly, Nessa girl, that's what we're going to call her, wrote this episode. And she wrote the fuck.
She really, truly. Really,
Out of this
really,
episode.
truly.
Nessa girl, we love to
Let me
have
see
you
if I
on,
got
Nessa
Apple TV.
girl. We love to have you on. Y'all go follow Nessa girl on IG. So, Nessa, where should I start? Okay, let me begin with how you allowed.
Is this the praise report?
This is the praise
Yes.
report. She
Go-
deserves
what
a praise
you-
report. She deserves a praise report, Nikisha. You know what? You ain't seen the episode. You ain't
Okay.
seen the episode.
I'm trying to get Apple TV right now. I got
You
to
ain't
catch
seen the
up.
episode.
I
Okay.
don't like to miss out.
Okay. Nessa girl, the way that you allowed Mia Jordan, played by Karen Pittman, to reclaim her bad
Oh.
bitch. Nessa
Mm.
girl,
Mm-hmm.
when she walked in with the red suit
And the new cut.
and the bob, Nessa girl. Nessa
It's
girl.
like that?
Nessa girl. And the conversation
Yes,
that she
between
had with Jennifer Aniston Calendar, Alex Levy.
yeah, that was good. But the way they brought it together with the character that is
Nessa girl. I ain't got
Christine,
that.
Chris.
Nessa
Mhm.
girl. Nessa girl. That whole conversation, y'all got to go watch.
I gotta rewatch it. I gotta
Thea, I
rewatch
rewatched it last night. That whole conversation, that was the best fuck you line I've ever heard delivered. The way she delivered that fuck you.
Yeah.
And the way she didn't continue to engage. Because a lot of us would have been back and forth. But Nessa, girl, you said, no, we're not doing back and forth. We're not doing back and forth. That's over. It's a new day. It's a new day. Nessa, girl, it set me free, Nessa, girl. Set me free. And I don't even deal with white folks. The whole episode. But then
turned it all through the eyes of a black woman.
Nessa, girl, the plot twist. I want to have you on because I want to know where you got the plot twist from. Okay? But also, what I really want to give a praise report out to is the way that you handle Black maternal health in this episode. I didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
And I'm getting chills just thinking about Nicole Bahari, who plays the character Christina Hunter on there.
I love her.
I'm about to start crying just thinking about her telling her story. And I'm often very critical and disappointed at the way that people handle Black maternal health in television and in film. You know, somebody's water breaks and then they go right into labor, which is totally inaccurate and gives people a false idea of the labor process. And we have to do a lot of reteaching, and birth persons have to do a lot of unlearning because we've seen that so many times. But the way that you handle this Black maternal health story with an athlete and Nicole's performance, the language that you gave her, and how she was able to deliver it was I just had to give a praise report because it was so well done. It brought together two things that we don't talk about enough in Black maternal health, which is athletics and Black maternal health. How female athletes are sometimes punished for having children or being pregnant. And it was brilliant. It was a thing of beauty. I looked at it and I love when I have the feeling like, man, I wish I would have wrote that. I want y'all to see it. We're definitely going to share it. We've probably already shared it on our Instagram for Black Birth Worker Wednesday, but I finished that episode. I rewatched it and I went to, I don't know if you saw my comment on your page, Nessa girl, but I said, and the Emmy goes to Get Your Clothes Ready, because that should definitely be in the nomination. But you did your thing, Nessa girl.
All Black women interactions in this episode were incredible, and I'm gonna speak to some of the more like subtle ones. If you watch the show, you know there's Mia.
Ooh, I know which one you're talking about. I think I know which one you're talking about.
There's a couple things. Mia has decided, you know what, y'all don't get my presence anymore. I'm out. When I say every interaction, she goes with the friend who's like, we got this, we're gonna get you something new. Blah, blah, blah. She's interacting with another Black woman. You can see the difference if you've watched me in other episodes in white spaces and how tight she has to be. And then you see her in a space with Black women and the potential to work with Black women and like how excited and open and free she is, and how her friend has to come care for her and show up for her a certain kind of way in that, but also how her absence affects other Black women who are still working in that white space, and how you're seeing them get immediately over cast by a white man. And it's subtle, but it's very there. Like you get that lens, you get to see when that happens. I just want to point out. And then wait, hold on, one more. I have a couple.
No. It wasn't a white man that was.
It was a white man too. It was a white woman and a white man.
I'm talking about the Black man.
Oh, there was a Black man too. So all the above, all the above, right? 100%. And then there was also though conflict with Black women. There was two conflicts with Black women. Both involved this motherhood piece, right? So one was in a previous episode, Mia's approach to Chris's motherhood. And not knowing Chris's story, which we didn't find out until this episode, and and Mia having to talk about how the two options you have when you're in a white space. You either show up completely who the fuck you are and let them deal with it, or you conform. And these two Black women beautifully represented these opposites, but also how being those opposites can create conflict between those two Black women when the conflict is really about the environment that they're in. Which ultimately I think is something she beautifully showed. But then also the friend that she had conflict with, who did not understand or know or care to know the sacrifices that have been made. And that we sometimes fall into that pitfall of being pit against each other and not because we can't be vulnerable, because we can't.
What friend?
The friend that interviewed with. The former
teammate. Yeah.
The former teammate.
I was confused with the friend, the former teammate. Yeah.
The former teammate where, what I saw in both of those interactions is the pain that we experience trying to navigate white spaces and how that difficulty being vulnerable because of that, right, impacts our relationships with each other to come together and form the kind of bonds we need. Though we do it. I mean, we do it better than most. But I think they showed that if we're navigating whiteness, white sports, white spaces, white fields, that this is one of those side effects of that. And I just think she wrote all of that so fucking beautifully.
I looked up who wrote it when Mia went to the job interview, and then her and her friend came out, and her girl was like, "Girl, you killed it. You killed it." And
they were dancing.
And they started dancing you did it. We gonna get it. And they started dancing. I was like,
this is a Black writer.
Even if that's improv, like the fact that there was space to do that, like a Black person
had to be involved.
Had to be involved. There was a Black character on the show that died in a very tragic way. And there was no healing. Her and Mia were on opposite sides of the Me Too issue, and there was no healing or reconciliation in that. And that Black character was not held by anyone.
That was Gugu's character, right?
Yeah, that was, it was not held by anyone. It was beautiful to see the healing. That's another thing that I appreciate in writing. There was an episode of Blackish where Bo is going through postpartum depression and she's having trouble breastfeeding, and Ruby gives the baby formula and they have this big blow up argument, and so many people would have left it there. And one of the things that I love, and one of the things that I think is important for Black people to witness, is there was an opportunity for healing. And I think that's so important for us to witness, because we have to be more committed to the healing than the fight. And in these predominantly white environments, these Black women are fighting for their lives. They shouldn't have to. They should just be able to go to work and do what they want to do. And they're not enough Black spaces for them to go to and do that. Even in this episode, when she's interviewing with the Black media company, they're talking about our budget isn't as big. We have limited resources. We don't have any attachment. So you have some freedom here, but we have very limited resources. And so I think that it's important that in these environments, when Black women are dealing with this and there is conflict, that we also get to witness healing, because we spend so much of our time fighting. And I think it's important for that healing to be seen in creativity, because I think a lot of us don't even know that it's available, and I think a lot of us don't even know how to navigate it. The fact that Mia apologized and said, "I was jealous."
I was jealous. She really got to deal with it.
Right. And I think that leaves space for us to recognize our full humanity. Like, we do get jealous. We can get tunnel vision and just think about ourselves, right? And we're human. We're human. Even God gets jealous. So it's a valid emotion. How you play that out is something different. So it's a great episode. I just had to give that praise report.
Great.
That's a girl.
I would say this is probably one of the best seasons too.
Yeah, so far. I would say so far.
Yeah, so far.
I would say so far.
Yeah.
I would say so far. The white women are in a tizzy. So I was the white women.
They stay in the white women. The white women are white womening. That's what I would say
the
too.
White women
it's
are
like,
white
you know what it is?
womening.
The white women are white womening, and the black women are black womening.
Yeah, Nessa Girl. Where did I get Nessa Girl from?
I don't know, but let me tell you something. Nessa Girl.
Somebody used to say Nessa Girl.
Funky Dineva.
Nessa Girl.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. What's the word I want to say? You know, sometimes it's the tiniest of tools that cause the biggest damage. Bitch, the way you use tears, like small tears, not crying, but like subtle tears, you have done that. Like these at just the right moment.
Yeah, that may be an actor choice though. But anyway, we done went off on a whole tangent. I'm gonna have to edit this out. But I just wanted to give that praise report. Let me tell you, Vanessa
ain't told me nothing.
Vanessa Baden Kelly, and she's a black mom too. She's a mom. Vanessa Baden Kelly, Nessa Girl, you did your thing. Episode 5, and the song choices.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
Y'all know I love a good playlist.
I do too.
Song choices. Nessa Girl, you did your thing. You're welcome inside the Black Woman Magic Room anytime, boo.
Yes.
Anytime. Just reach out.
Okay.
So that is all that I have for our church announcements, praise reports, and prayer list requests. Please keep those things in mind. We will have any links mentioned in our syllabus. Check out our syllabus. If you're watching us on YouTube, don't just watch. Hit that subscribe button. There should be a little thing popping up right now. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure that you're subscribed to our news list because episodes only come out twice a month. So you'll probably get it in our newsletter before you hear it first. And share this episode with at least one person because sharing is not only caring, sharing is how we build community. And just a little thing about our syllabus. Our syllabus is there because in an age of misinformation and disinformation, we want to give you not only the links that we mentioned, but just to let y'all know we're not talking out of our ass. We want to give you factual information that what we're talking about is rooted in. And that's a shout out to Melissa Harris Perry, who used to have a show on MSNBC on Saturdays, and she would do a show syllabus. And so we have a show syllabus as well. Please check it out. Please share it so that you can get a more well-rounded view of the things that we're talking about, and you have something to reference back to that is factual when you go out and you repeat some of the information that's given on this podcast. All right. Are we ready to talk to Miss Loretta Ross?
Yes.
All right. Let's move into our mac and cheese, y'all. Hey, everybody. So welcome back. This is our mac and cheese segment. And as I said before, when I started out 2025, this was not on my bingo card, having Loretta Ross be our guest today, who is one of the founders of the Reproductive Justice Movement. I'm excited, ecstatic, a little nervous, and it's a little surreal to me, but we're so grateful to have you here today to have this conversation about abortion, reproductive justice, and Black motherhood, and talk a little bit about your new book, Abortion and Reproductive Justice. An essential guide for resistance. And it really, really is a guide. And we'll get into that in a few minutes. But we're going to kick off like we always kick off. We love to read the bios of our guests when they're here because we like for them to hear about themselves. And sometimes when you hear your bio, you're like, I didn't even know I was doing that much. But you really have done that much. And we like to honor people and give them their roses while they're with us. So it's an honor to read the bios. Okay, here we go. But she asked me to make it as short as possible, so I'm gonna try to shorten it up. Okay, here we go. Loretta Ross is a professor at Smith College in Northampton, Massachusetts, in the program for the study of women and gender. She teaches courses on white supremacy, human rights, and calling in the call-out culture. She has taught at Hampshire College and Arizona State University. She is a graduate of Agnes of Agnes Scott College and holds an honorary doctorate of civil law degree awarded in 2003 from Arcadia and a second honorary doctorate degree awarded from Smith College in 2013. Loretta also is a recipient of a MacArthur Fellow class of 2022 for her work as an advocate of reproductive justice and human rights and as an inductee into the 2024 National Women's Hall of Fame. Loretta's activism began when she was tear gassed at a demonstration as a first-year student at Howard University in 1970. As a teenager, she was involved in anti-apartheid and anti-gentrification activism in Washington, D.C. as a founding member of the D.C. Study Group as a part of a 50-year history in social justice activism until her retirement from community organizing in 2012. She was a national coordinator of the Sister Song Women of Color Reproductive Justice Collective from 2005 and 2012 and co-created the theory of reproductive justice in 1994. She founded the National Center for Human Rights Education in Atlanta, Georgia. She launched the Women of Color program for the National Organization of Women in the 1980s and was a national director of the National Black Women's Health Project. Loretta was one of the first African-American women to direct a rape crisis center in the 1970s, launching her career by pioneering work on violence against women as a third executive director of the DC Rape Crisis Center. Loretta is a rape survivor and raised her child born of incest and is also a survivor of sterilization abuse at the age of 23. She is a model of how to survive and thrive despite the traumas that disproportionately affected low-income women of color. Loretta Ross is a prolific writer and has co-written 3 books on reproductive justice. Loretta is a mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother. Welcome to the Black Woman Magic Room. We're excited to have you here.
Well, it's so exciting to be here and to join what I call the bitch, the sister when I finally get ready to retire for the second time.
Yes. I want to ask you about that. How did you know and decide that it was time to retire as an activist?
Now, that is a very interesting question. I think I aged out of the movement on the front line. And if you don't mind, I'll tell you a little story about that. One of the things that Sister Song pioneered was our conference called Let's Talk About Sex.
Right.
So we wanted to create a safe space.
We've been there. We've been to that conference. That's an amazing conference.
Sex, baby.
Yeah.
One of our favorites.
It's lit, right?
One of our favorites.
Right.
Yeah, it's a great conference.
But at the second Let's Talk About Sex conference, some of our members wanted us to bring a burlesque group to be our Saturday night culture work, Brown Girls Burlesque. But one of the other features of Let's Talk About Sex is that we invite people 13 years and older to come, and we invite them to come with their families, like, with your aunt or your mother or your uncle or whoever best supports you as you're becoming a woman, right? And so I objected to having an adults-only event at Let's Talk About Sex, where we have to card our own participants and keep them out, because you can't take a 13-year-old to a burlesque show without getting in big trouble with the law. And so I offered to pay for a nightclub to have the show at, so that part of the base could be satisfied, and wanted to do something that everybody could be welcome to for our cultural event that Saturday night. Got on a national conference call asking my base for what they wanted. There were about 200 of us on the call. And in that call, the vast majority, probably everybody, wanted us to have the burlesque show in the conference. And they didn't care if we had to card the 13, 14, 15-year-old. And then I asked, just idly, I said, how many of y'all have actually been sex workers? Because they had all this political stuff about, the sex work and, I was the only one that had actually done it. I said, so y'all are applying theory to my experience. That's when I felt I had aged out of the movement. And I coined this concept that I call desire feminism, where we have new generations that say, because I desire it and I'm a feminist, that makes it feminist. Feminism that's not based on eliminating oppression, but feminism based on achieving your own particular desires and pleasures. And I am not here to scold the generations coming after me. I just had to get out the way.
What was that process like? Because now there's a lot of conversation around aging elected officials, and there needs to be more young people in those positions and more young people in movement. So what was that process like? Did you already have a plan of succession?
No, because it wasn't that clean, and I wish I'd been that smart. Experiencing a tremendous amount of burnout at the time that I was late to recognize. Because the other thing that was happening simultaneously is that we had just conducted a national fight against these anti-abortion billboards that said that the most dangerous place for an African-American child is in the womb. I don't know.
Right. I remember those. I remember those.
And we had won that fight. We had stopped the legislation in Georgia, and it was the only pro-choice victory in the country at that time, and it was led by Black women, a sister song. And so we had just come out of that very bruising fight. We were fighting with our allies in the pro-choice movement who didn't want to step back so that Black women could lead. And then to have this changing of the guard even within our ranks just signaled to me it was time to go. And fortunately for me, the woman that I had hired as our development director, Monica Simpson.
You know Monica.
We know Monica.
You know Monica
She kept
well.
stepping up while everybody else was running in panic because Mama was leaving. You know, I had the rest of the staff saying, what are we going to do? It's got to be gone. No. I need you to guarantee my job. I mean, they were just in panicking because they found their mama leaving, right? And every time Monica met me, she said, what more do you want me to do? What more do you want me to do? And so I proposed to her, to the board, that they hire her as the next director. And they didn't want to do it because she was so young. And she had never led a national organization before. And she had come out of the LGBT movement, not properly coming out of reproductive justice. But I kind of pushed her down their throats because I told Monica, I said, you do this job for 6 months. I bet you they will not have found your replacement in 6 months. And then you make them an ultimatum. Hire you or you go. And so Monica has been amazing.
Yeah, she is.
I mean,
she
a
is.
multi-million-dollar organization now, and I left the organization broke and in dire straits. And so I didn't have a good, clean plan transition and stuff. I was just burnt out, and I just had done all I could do from 1997 to 2012. And Monica stepped up to the plate and has just taken Sister Song to the stratosphere. But if you notice, let's talk about sex. It's highly sexualized.
It is.
Generation. But it actually was started for young people because it was the young people within Sister Song that said, we have no place in this movement to talk about sex and sexuality because half the community is telling us just say no. And the other half is saying, don't say no, but if you're going to do it safely. There's no place to talk about young people's positive sexuality. Even though we're dealing with teen mothers here and there, you know, STDs, AIDS, all the stuff that young people are dealing with, sexual violence, but no place to talk about sex. And so that was the origins of the first Let's Talk About Sex, as a safe space for young people to talk about sex and sexuality. And so it was time for me to just say, okay, young people, you have the right to determine the terms on which you conduct the struggle for your times. My time has gone.
Wow.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm wondering, and I have so many questions around this.
That's
But what
very
was
gracious.
It is very gracious, and I wonder what were the internal conversations you had with yourself about the void you would obviously be leaving as the singular, one with lived experience in that realm.
Yeah.
But I entered the movement standing on the shoulders of older black women. I was so fortunate to have gone to Howard University in 1970 and encountered all of these older black women who had worked with Eleanor Roosevelt and, you know, knew Mary McLeod Bethune and stuff, Sykes, Dorothy Heights. Ethel James Williams. I mean, these were the women who created the space for me, even though they didn't like me. Because, I got this potty mouth with MFs dropping off my lips every time I turned around. I had these baby dreads popping out over my head when they were fried light and laid to the side. I mean, it was just...
We were different.
It was because I learned about feminism at the feet of black women. I was never, ever intimidated by white feminism because I knew we owned it. I saw them as late to the game because black women have struggled to control our fertility from Mother Africa on and stuff. And we bought over here, even when we were enslaved, knowledge of abortifacients and contraceptives that caused us to resist on the plantations of having all them babies and stuff. And so, as far as I'm concerned, my black feminism predates white feminism, predates Seneca Falls and stuff like that. So it was such a privilege to learn at the feet of my older sisters who didn't give up on insufferable me. And so now that I'm an elder, I've got to create that same space and that same grace that they offered me.
You said something that I wrote down. Applying theory to experience. And I don't know if I am jumping into some of your work around calling in and like dealing with cancel culture, but let me breathe when I say it, that is a struggle I've had recently, right? The diminishing of experiential intelligence in exchange for, what you can learn online, even what you can learn in books sometimes, like, academic intelligence, which are both valuable, but the idea that one is more valuable than the other, and then trying to build mass movements, right, without that balance. Can you say more about that? About some of the risk? I don't know if there's benefits. If there's benefits, you could say the benefits too of applying theory to experiences without the people in the room who have the experiential knowledge or intelligence.
Well, because I came out of community activism, I've only become an academic in the last 10 years, so I don't see that as my natural home. What I find from community activists, experiential people, is that we need to add some theory to our practice. Because what we've been through is what we've been through, but it's not a complete knowledge of what you need to conduct a struggle.
Right.
And so a lot of people, the way we put it in academia, they focus on me-search and not research.
Pause for the cause.
That's a good one.
Pause for the cause.
That's a good...
Pause for the cause. Hold on, Ms. Ross. You said they focus. I need you just to repeat that, because when we do pause for the cause, it's like we want to run that back so the people can get it. Okay, you said they focus on
me-search instead of research. And so the way it shows up, talking about calling in, they've got all these radical political analyses that they can quote Audre Lorde and Tony Cade, Barbara and bell hooks, but they don't have the radical love practices that those same women talked about to handle those radical analyses responsibly.
That's right.
With love, with grace, with respect, with forgiveness. So I'm like, don't be quoting my friend Bell at me if you don't actually believe her.
Come on.
Because she wrote more books about love than you can even imagine.
Right.
And so I'm a little impatient, or a lot impatient,
too,
with how people don't handle their passion with compassion. for each other. And I know I was the same way when I was reading Dr. King and he was talking about love and turning the other cheek. I was like, hell to the now. If the Klan hate me, I'm all right hating them back. Anger fueled my activism for so many years. Outrage, anger. And then I found out that rage was incinerating me from inside. It wasn't actually addressing the oppressor. It wasn't even getting to the oppressor.
Wasn't even making it there.
It was incinerating me and my own community. And I learned once I got to that realization by deprogramming white supremacists, I might add. Because when you talk to these white supremacists, you get to humanize them. You have to humanize them, and then everything changes not only for them, but for you too. Then I had to find another motivation for my activism. And I found that inside I was filled with love, and so I needed to act like it.
That's a journey. I mean, that's a real journey. And
some of us are further along than others.
Yeah, and if I'm
journey.
being honest, I mean, I think I have so much rage right now that it's even like difficult to be in community. I don't know if I'm an asset in community right now because of the rage. So what was your what was your healing journey
Well,
like?
first of all, it was some professional therapy.
Okay.
Just like I go to a heart doctor, I go to a head doctor.
Okay.
That was because in my 20s, I had a severe crack, or well, they called it crack. We were freebasing back then. Addiction that was self-destructive. I was doing all this activism on the outside while I was a mess on the inside because I hadn't gotten any healing for my incest. I hadn't gotten any healing for my rage against Black men who were the ones who had all violated me. I was just walking inferno trying to serve my community at the same time. And the contradiction got me in trouble. So that's when I went and got some professional therapy. Again, at the advice of an older Black woman. She said, you need to go get some help so that you can be here for the long haul. Otherwise, you're going to burn out in a very short time. And I was 27 at the time when she gave me that advice. And I'd been an activist by then for 11 years. And so that was my healing journey. But the other thing that's a significant part of my healing journey is that many of us who were Black feminists in the 70s and 80s and 90s in Washington, we formed intentional self-health communities with each other. To this day, I have a monthly phone call with about 10 Black feminists who did that journey with me from the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. And we keep each other alive.
Yes.
We keep each other connected. We talk about our diabetes or our blindness or our grandchildren or our financial situation, whatever is oppressing us, downpressing us. We have very intentional love and care for each other. So that's the other healing part. Form that intentional community for you where you can be your total, honest self and get replenished for the struggle. Because otherwise, you empty your pail of love out and it doesn't get replenished anywhere. And so those were the professional help, but that sister community. That's what made me go more than 50 years.
I've experienced working within some of the more recent movements. What you describe requires patience, like guidance, wisdom, and healing, right? What you described with these Black women that held you, they had to like pause, look at you. The situation was dire, but they also had to make the time to like look and see what was needed for you all emotionally, physically, spiritually. And I found that sometimes the sense of urgency is so high in current times. And I have found where people welcome in those like wounded young people and do not focus on their healing. In fact, there's like a use of that rage. It's like that's what they use to push them out at times, I think about what would it look like to have a part of these movements that is focused on healing, right? Do they have a safe space to talk about, like you said, the financial struggles that coexist, the relationship struggles that coexist, the past pain that coexists with the rage, so that they can eventually get to the place that you're talking about, where they can do this activism from a place of love?
Well, one thing you understand is that the struggle's always going to be there. You ain't gonna ever run out of oppression.
You're right. Right. You got
It ain't gonna be
time.
all over when you get back to it. You got time. So that sense of
Yes.
urgency is
That's right.
self-inflicted
That's right.
harm. You know, because as we say in the civil rights movement, don't imagine that you're the entire chain of freedom.
Ooh.
Because the chain of freedom stretches back towards your ancestors and forward towards your descendants. The only thing you have to do that you're responsible for is ensuring that chain of freedom doesn't break at your link. Through cynicism, apathy, lack of healing, lack of taking time to establish relationships of trust, not the relationships of convenience, through thinking you know everything and that you've done all the growing you need to do. I'm thinking about the No Kings demonstration that took place. And I'm reading all of these half-assed cynical arguments for why, you know, it was predominantly white people, black people didn't need to go, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, get the over yourself. Because if white supremacy could have been ended by black people alone, it would have been long gone.
Yes.
What kind of analysis are you doing that you don't think is necessary to have white people with white identities fighting against ideological white supremacy? Where are you coming from? The Combahee River Collective in 1977 wrote about identity politics. But they only read the first chapter, because after you know who you are and who you need to be with, then you need to know who you got to be in solidarity with. You just can't stop at your identity, because your identity in and of itself is insufficient. We have to have a far more sturdy and sophisticated analysis about the privilege we have to be conscious at this time. And so when your ego tells you that you're the entire chain of freedom, that's when you feel like, gotta do it now, gotta do it right. I can't work with anybody that ain't perfect. I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't compromise. You know, I mean, we just get so caught up in being right, we forget to be strategically effective.
I've been viewing it as more of a burden than a privilege to reframe what you just said. And I understand that now. I see that now based on the way that you've described it, what a privilege it is to be able to see what's happening in this moment.
Oppression. Very few of us have the privilege to fight it. Now, you don't have to fight it. You can choose not to do that, but never deny that you have a privilege to say to white folks today things that would have gotten your grandparents lynched.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The burdensome part goes along with you feeling like you're carrying it alone and not remembering the backward and the forward, as you just said, and you're at one mere link.
Right. Don't break the link. Don't break the link just because you have an ego focused on the now versus the fact that humanity exists because of Black women. And we're going to be the saviors of it. Everybody is a damn cousin on this planet. Our cousins. And we're just as responsible for them as if they're first or second cousins. That is our joy.
I know, I'm crying.
It is such a special thing to be a Black woman who knows we birthed humanity and can save it. That just fills me with chills, no.
I want to ask you about that.
No,
No, please.
No.
This is actually
beautiful. This is beautiful.
Healing than I think you even could know in this moment for us.
Yeah. I want to ask you about that sisterhood. How do you all deal with tension and difference of opinion and different strategies?
Well, we never saw our fights as fatal. We just saw them as just fights.
Oh, come on.
We just saw them as fights.
They were just fights.
I remember when we were mobilizing for the World Conference for Women in Nairobi, Kenya. And the government of Kenya has said that they weren't going to allow any lesbians into Kenya to go to the conference, right? And homophobia was a big deal in the Black feminist movement at that time. Seriously big deal. That's what broke up the National Black Feminist Organization. And here I am, a straight woman addicted to dick, trying to figure out all of this shit, right?
No,
that's a moment of connection. I think that's just a moment of connection. They're just like real honest. We've all been there.
Black women. So we had this preparatory conference at Morgan State University about 83, 84, because the conference was in 85 in Nairobi. And for many of us, it was our first trip back to the motherland. It was my first trip back to the motherland, right? And so a group of our Black nationalist sisters in the All African People's Revolutionary Party, the Nation of Islam, the African People's Socialist Party, the UNIA, the Garvey organization, they had become real homophobic. Well, they were very homophobic. And so they threatened to break up this conference of 400 Black women because they didn't want the lesbians to come with us to Kenya. But Black lesbians had founded every Black feminist movement, had been everywhere, all over it, from the 20s to, the earliest readings to now. It's always been there. Ain't an add-on, always been there. And so they were threatening to bum rush the microphone up on stage and denounce them. And here I am up on stage trying to manage this unruliness kind of stuff. And then out of the audience, Queen Mother Moore stood up. Queen Audley Moore. She was one of the original Garveyites. Actually knew Marvin because Garvey got her Queen Mother title in the 30s or 40s or something. By this time, she was in her 80s, and she stood up on a cane. Hand was shaking like this. And I said, oh, my God, the Queen Mother's getting ready to speak. I can't not call on her. But Lord, she's surrounded by all these Black nationalist women. What is the Queen Mother going to say? And the Queen Mother stood up and said, I don't understand all this stuff about women sleeping with women. I just don't understand it. But I'm here to tell you, when you pick on one Black woman, you done picked on us all.
That's that.
Say that.
That's that.
Mic drop. Because whatever we expected the Queen Mother to say, that wasn't it.
Wasn't it?
Right? And so we had our fights. We still have our fights. Different forms of feminism. Who's more radical? Who's, into Marxism? Who's into capitalism? I mean, we have all of those fights. But the point is there were so few of us that we clung together out of necessity. Now there's so many of us, we think we have the luxury of treating people we disagree with as enemies, even if they look like us and share the same goals. Again, fights ain't fatal. When many different people think many different thoughts and they move in the same direction, that's a movement. But when many different people think one thought and they move in the same direction, that's a cult. And don't call yourself doing community organizing when actually you're building a cult around your ego. That's the same white supremacist patriarchal stuff we're fighting. It's a master's tool kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so if you can't figure out how to get along with all your cousins, maybe you shouldn't be invited to the picnic because all you're going to do is blow it up.
Dr. Ross, I wasn't prepared for getting whooped early in the day like this.
I wasn't trying to whoop you either.
No, you were saying anything.
You are saying everything right. I want to just talk a little bit about your motherhood journey. At the age of 16, just a year after having your first child, you get on the bus to Howard University. From Texas to DC, you get on the bus, right? What was your mindset getting on that bus? And did you think you'd be where you are right now? then?
Oh, absolutely not.
Mm.
I mean, I was incested when I was 14. I had the baby at 15. This was 1968 when there were no options. The only option I had once I became pregnant was whether or not to keep the child or not. And I had actually planned on giving my son up for adoption because that is not the way anyone wants to become a mother, through incest. But after my son was born, I had turned 15 by that time. The nurses either accidentally or deliberately brought my son to me the morning after his delivery, even though I had signed the adoption papers and everything. And I looked down at my child, and all I could say is, he's got my face. He's got my face. He's got my face. And I could not explain that mother bonding thing. I hadn't even chosen a name for the child because I hadn't planned on keeping him. I was 15 years old going to college. I had no plans on stopping and going from a scared teenager to a teen mom. That was not in my bingo deck at all. And my parents and I had totally agreed we were going to give him up for adoption because my mother had already raised 8 kids. She wasn't trying to take on number 9. And so everything changed once I decided to nix the adoption. So then I had to return to my high school, get laughed at by all the mean girls because from having a suspected pregnancy that they'd hid in a home for unwed mothers, now that I had an actual baby. But my high school didn't want to let me back in, didn't want to readmit me because it was common to expel girls for getting pregnant back in the 60s.
Right.
Matter of fact, my counselor, this white counselor, said, well, Loretta, if we let you back in, other girls might get pregnant. I looked at this white woman. I'm saying, I haven't even taken biology yet, and I know that ain't how that happened.
It's not contagious.
You know?
Right,
But they never expelled
100%.
the
Yes,
boys.
yes.
Just the girls.
Yeah.
And so my family had to threaten the San Antonio school system for my right to return to school because education was always a big premium for me. I had a scholarship to Radcliffe that I'd won in the 10th grade because they were picking the creme de la creme of the Black students at the time to admit them to the Ivies, and I was a National Merit Scholar. So I had gotten cherry-picked in the 10th grade before the pregnancy for early admission and scholarship to Radcliffe. But Radcliffe rescinded the scholarship once that white counselor wrote and told him I'd been pregnant and had a baby. So, fortunately for me, Howard University had also offered me a scholarship. And so at 16 years old, I boarded that bus. My parents couldn't afford to put me on a plane. So I got on that Greyhound to get to Washington, D.C. Mom and Dad agreed to keep my son while I went off to college. I was majoring in chemistry and physics. That was my dream, to become a scientist. And I was the only woman in the chemistry department at Howard University, so they were kind of mean to me at the time because they didn't think women should be in the hard sciences like that. I was torn between my child at home and trying to live that first year party life experience. And of course, I was, 1,000 miles from home, so I was living it up in Washington, D.C. Got pregnant my freshman year. Again, because my mother wouldn't sign for me to have birth control. I needed parental consent. So even though she was already keeping the baby I already had, she thought that my Christianity would be sufficient birth control.
I don't know many people that's worked for, but
They keep
Yeah, but they keep praying, don't they?
they keep praying.
Instead of educating. Right? So I got pregnant my freshman year. But fortunately for me, Washington, D.C. decriminalized abortion the summer of 1970. And it was the fall of 1970 I needed an abortion. And so my law school boyfriend, who was in his first year of law school, he was more than happy to pay for it. I was able to go to the Washington Hospital Center in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
to have a perfectly legal abortion.
Wow.
My barrier was familial. My mother would not sign the permission slip because I was under 18 and I needed parental consent. My mother and I fought for months over that. She said, you need to just drop out of college, come home and take care of that baby and raise the one you're getting ready to have, because that's your Christian duty. Fortunately, I had, because she's died now, an older sister, Carol, 9 years older than me, so she forged Mom's signature to the permission slip, and so I was able to have a perfectly safe and legal abortion in my third trimester. At the Washington Hospital Center. And I aborted twins. We did not have amniocentesis back then to see that I'd been pregnant with twins. So at 16 years old, I could have had 3 kids if I had not had access to abortion. And so once you become a mother, everything changes in your life. You no longer can put yourself first. You have another whole human being who has to come first in your thoughts, first in your life. And that's a hard thing to ask of a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
And so I ended up growing up with my son. He was like a younger brother, more so than my son, which of course confused the hell out of my mother, because she used to try to fight with me over decisions about my child, because for her, it was her 9th child, because I was a baby raising a baby. My son died in 2016. He had gotten to be 47 years old from an unexpected heart attack. And since his death, all I've been filled with besides of love, he turned out to be a great kid. He became an engineer, gave me a great grandson that I'm travel the world with. I love my grandson. But the thing that I've been filled with a lot is that I started parenting him so young that I made a lot of mistakes. But now that he's gone, I can't apologize to him for, because I was a baby raising a baby. And so I did my best. But there are times when I wonder if my best was good enough. And once he became an adult, he said, Mom, do you know, I used to be so jealous when you would go to parties and you wouldn't take me. I said, well, baby, no mama wants their child hanging around with them at the party, okay? He said, yeah, but your friends were my friends. Because we were so close in age. So he felt left out. There wasn't a full generation, feeling for him like it did for me. It was like, I ain't taking you to parties letting your mama get high. That ain't happening. Right?
Was he a part of your activist work? Was there space for children? Was he a part of that? Or did you see those two things as separate? Like, I'm an activist here and I'm a mother here.
I didn't see it as separate, but he certainly did. First of all, in the emerging feminist women's movement at the time, they didn't know how to deal with male children. Okay? And so there was a big music festival called Sister Fire that took place in Washington, D.C. And they said we couldn't bring male children to it because there'd be women walking around with their breasts exposed and stuff like that. But I'm like, my child's 5 years old. I mean, really? You're attaching the patriarchy to my 5-year-old kind of thing. But I could see both sides of the argument, because I don't know if I wanted my 5-year-old to be walking around with a lot of bare-breasted women either. It was very complicated. But my son ended up going to a lot of political meetings with me, and I think he grew to resent them. Because he had a game called Going to Meeting with Mommy, because he knew he had to stay and occupy himself while the grown folks talked about all this other stuff. He cooked as much as his wife. He was very self-sufficient. He was raised by me. So he wasn't an incapacitated man.
Yeah.
But he also had as his male role model my provider dad. Right? And so he sought women who could be the housewife like his grandma was. Not the feminist like his mother was.
That is
But
interesting.
the housewife that he had is his grandma role model. Because he wanted to be the granddad role model. The provider, the guy that worked 2 or 3 jobs, wife stayed home, this kind of stuff. And so I like to think that I had an influence on him, but you are going to be constantly surprised where your children go.
Did mothering change your well, it had to impact your activist lens.
Yeah.
And did activism impact how you mothered?
Well, for survival, I worked from 9 to 5 as a secretary and 5 to 9 as a waitress. So that was just survival, right?
Yeah.
And so I didn't get home until 10 o'clock at night. And so my son got out of school at 2 o'clock. So I had to pay for after school care till I got home at 10 o'clock at night. And so one night I'm walking in the house. My son said, "Mom, what's for dinner?" And I looked at this 10-year-old child and talk about rage, you know? Talking about that. I said, "If you are stupid enough to starve in a house full of food, I'm stupid enough to let you." He said, "Wait, Mama, just show me what to do. Just show me what to do." I had not realized that I had raised my son the same way my mother had raised my brothers. Doing all the cooking. Being responsible for feeding the meat. Right? From that moment on, my son was eager to learn how to cook and started having my dinner ready for me when I got home. Right? But I had jumped down his throat.
Yeah.
When it was my mistake for not teaching him the way my mother had taught me to cook. Because there was no hesitation of teaching the girls to cook against the boys.
Right.
Right? And I still regret jumping down his throat for something I hadn't prepared him to learn. He said, "Just show me what to do, Mom. Just show me what to do." And that was the other commitment. My mother raised us with corporal punishment, spankings and stuff, not in a seriously violent way, but, you know, it was so funny. Even though I had a very patriarchal household with Dad, the provider, and the military man and stuff, Mama had all the power. We knew that. Dad got an allowance from Mama, so we weren't confused on who had the power. Even though Mama wasn't working, Daddy got an allowance.
Allowance?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, she
'cause he was
managed
too busy
it.
working. She decided
She had to manage everything. Yep.
And see, my mother was so proud to be the only Black woman in our neighborhood who didn't have to work. Because not a lot of Black
Could
women
say
of the
that, yeah.
50s and 60s
Right.
Yeah.
could stay out of the labor force.
Right.
Yeah.
Didn't have husbands willing to work those 2 or 3 jobs to keep them at home. Now, I had a disabled sister, too, so that why Mom was not in the workforce. She needed to take care of Tony. But she did believe in corporal punishment, so we were more afraid of Mom's anger than Dad. Dad would only when Mom would say, "Wait till Dad get home," we'd be, "Oh, good." 'Cause Daddy go, "Ah," and he threw. Mama let her rage out on us, so I'd rather get spanked by Dad than Mom. But I committed to raising my son without violence. That was another feminist thing showing up in me. And so I was deeply ashamed at my anger coming out at him because I hadn't had any healing. So I loved my child and hated his circumstances, you know, because I hated his pedophile father. And he kept growing up looking like that pedophile father. So that's how complicated my motherhood journey was. It's like, how do you love your child and hate all the circumstances that cause him to be? And I had to really, really control myself not to let all that unhealed rage get visited on my child. Because I chose to keep him. So once I made the commitment to keep him, I had to act like I made that commitment. Then I got sterilized a few years later. So who knew that that one child I had would be my only opportunity to be a mother, biologically anyway.
So much of your journey is a reflection of like what the fight for reproductive justice is. You know, when you talk about your motherhood journey, when you talk about your activist journey, when you talk about how one influenced the others, so much of your life is that lived experience of reproductive justice. Was there
Injustices?
Yeah,
Injustices.
You can't
injustices.
control
Yeah.
infant when you have sex. You can't control
Yeah.
infant when you have a baby. You
Yeah.
can't control the conditions under which you
Yeah.
raise that
Yeah.
baby. That's what led us to create reproductive justice, when we Black women centered ourselves in the lens and shared what we'd been through, it was clear that that whole pro-choice, pro-life thing was totally inadequate to describe the lived experiences of Black women. Because we joined the pro-choice movement fighting for the right not to have kids, like using birth control and abortion and abstinence if you can hold on. But we were Black women who were subjected to population control, sterilization abuse. As I said, I was sterilized when I was 23. And so we had to fight equally hard for the right to have the children we wanted to have and the conditions under which we wanted to have them. Because there'd been the whole criminalization of granny midwives that had provided the majority of the health care. I was born by a midwife on my mother's kitchen table. And so the whole pushing out of our community, our healthcare workers, our midwives, meant that there was a whole period when Black women were getting the worst health care because we weren't accepted in the white hospitals, and the Black granny midwives had been criminalized. So, those of us in the 40s, 50s, 60s, we were just, in a healthcare desert that was caused by political issues, mostly racism and sexism. And then the third tenet, recognizing the precarity of our children's lives, meant that we had to fight equally hard for the right to raise them in safe and healthy environments. As we're dealing with the school-to-prison pipeline and the food deserts and the gun violence and the environmental problems, there's like no part of this world doesn't threaten our Black children. And so when that MF put up that billboard saying that the most dangerous place for a Black child is in the womb, I went ballistic. How the hell this half-white guy gonna sit up here and condemn Black motherhood in our faces when he married a white woman his damn self? I mean, really? Really?
No, yeah.
I'm sorry. I saw all kinds of red with that billboard campaign. And every Black mother did.
So much of our anger is righteous. It is valid. You know what I mean? And so it's a journey.
It's a journey. It's a journey.
But how do we keep it from visiting on the people we love? That's where that rage and that anger becomes dangerous and self-destructive. Because we're not often in control of it. And so how do we as trauma survivors not inflict that trauma on our own children that we love? But can't help but be the victims of our trauma practices. Because my mother had been a rape and incest survivor. And so she visited that trauma on all of her daughters. She loved her sons and abused her daughters, to be honest. But she loved us. I never doubted that Mama loved us. But Mama didn't know how to love us, to show us that she loved us. Because of her body images and stuff, because from 8 to 16, she was incested by her uncle. I never got a hug from my mother in my entire life. She didn't know how to physically touch her daughters, but she could hug her sons because of her body trauma issues. But she was the first in line when I needed help, when she needed to send me the credit card so I could get my first apartment. I mean, so she could show love in every way but physical. So we've got to interrupt this trauma-driven parenting that we're experiencing and inflicting upon our children. We need to be trauma-informed and not trauma-driven.
I was coming into this conversation with you and looking at like the span of your body of work, right? Like where it's like Black, feminist, reproductive justice, and then looking at the recent talks about calling in. I'm probably gonna make a face every time I say, talking to white supremacists, which I'm so curious about even just saying yes to that. But as I listen to you talk more about your personal journey and you know, a mom that's different from you, but you can still see the love, and, you know, a son that ends up, you know, joining the church that's also different. Also been in a movement that wasn't welcoming of sons. You've had to expand your understanding of liberation and love so many times in your own personal journey that now I can see a clear path to how you can talk about humanity so beautifully, because the vulnerability it takes to turn pain into more love, like turn straw to gold, you know, is something you seem uniquely equipped, but there's a little piece of you in so many of our stories, you know, that if we can do that too, we can also see the connection between, like you said, human rights and, you know, reproductive justice and Black women's needs, and all while centering the fact that, like you said, we are the mothers of this planet. I think sometimes we want other people to hold that too, and when they can't, we get so deeply hurt.
Yeah.
And if we
Disappointed
can
and
hold
hurt
it,
and frustrated.
It's like we disappoint and hurt our mothers
Yeah.
when we don't necessarily
Yeah.
appreciate all they've been through for us,
Yeah.
but they don't
Yeah.
always show up in the way we need them to
Yeah.
because of their own trauma. That is the existential state of humanity right now. And I think it's marvelous how we emerge triumphant despite all these odds. I just think that is the miracle of creation right there for me. When I see Black women's joy and bonding and sisterhood, and that to me isn't even racially driven, because we can bond and experience sisterhood and with every human being on the planet. Nobody
uniquely
can do
qualified.
that like us. It just, it's sublime to me. It is sublime. And the fact that we create the theory that saves humanity. When we created reproductive justice, the 12 of us, in 1994, actually it was some Black women who thought that because it was created by Black women, it should only be used by Black women, like it's ours, right? And I had to push back on these sisters. I said, baby, what in the world makes you think that Black women can't create theory that applies to all of humanity?
This is what we do.
This is what we do.
This is what we do.
This is our gift. You know, why would we limit it? Why would we make our own gift underperform through a racial hierarchy that we did not create and scarcely benefit from? We can't cheapen our gift using their metrics.
One of the things that I love about your book,
Let's get the
Abortion
shot of the
Yeah, let's
book.
finally get
Reproductive
to what we
Justice. I mean, we can get to the book. Let's get a shot of the book. One of the things in the book is stories from the front lines, and abortion stories. So sharing your story is a reflection of what's in the book. But one of the things that I gathered from the book was it gave me such a wide perspective. Like, you know, I during this time we think, oh, this is the worst it's ever been, and oh my God, this is the fall of humanity, and the world is ending, when actually the United States is just changing. But anyway, but it's all of this catastrophe, right? And so I'm reading this and I'm looking at the history of abortion and how reproductive justice came about. And I'm seeing like, oh, there was a time in America when abortion was big business. Like, it was competition, like, oh, we can provide you with this, we can provide you with that when it came to abortion. And there was a time when, you know, white people were concerned about the decrease in their population.
They're still concerned about
and so just
that.
reading,
They've always been concerned.
always been right. And but I think that's why it's so important that we understand the history so that we so that we can level set. Right? So that we can level set and say, okay, wait, this is not new. This is actually why, you know, the AMA actually began to push for this
Yeah.
because they were
For bans
worried
on abortion.
they wanted
Birth
every
control.
single state to make abortion illegal because they
Yeah.
were worried about the white population. And so what we're facing now, like, it's not new. And so I think knowing that kind of level sets and tampers down the urgency.
The panic.
Because it's like,
Yeah.
y'all, this is not
panic.
new.
We don't have to
The
panic.
It's urgent,
panic.
but we
Yeah.
don't have to
Panic.
panic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it tampers down.
Yeah.
The thing that rocked my world is when in 1986 I had to organize Black women and other women of color to participate in the first abortion rights march. And I'd gone to all these Black women's organizations that told me, no, we don't do that. We don't take that. Our congregation too religious. Our base is do this. And I'm like, wait a moment. The Black women get 1/3 of the abortions in this country. So if the Black women's organizations ain't speaking to the reality of what Black women are doing, there's a huge disconnect here happening. And so that's when I started doing that research into Black women's history with birth control and abortion. And when I found those white doctors had written studies showing that whole plantations of Black women weren't having babies because of knowledge they bought from Africa, I was like, damn, this is the link I needed. Bodily self-determination is something we have always prioritized. You know, when illiterate, non-English speaking women could find comparable herbs here in the United States that they knew and recognized from Africa, and not only provide services for themselves,
Yes,
secretly
yes.
spread it to white women,
Come on.
right? And so, you know, people they date the white women's movement from Seneca Falls, 1848. I said, no, you should date that from 1619. Because that's when Black women said, oh, hell to the no. You know? And so our reclamation of that history and that power is so important to me. I love the realization that what we know as feminism started with Black women's bodily self-determination. Even though they couldn't read and write and document for themselves. Like I read Black histories for gender. I read reproductive histories for race. You know, I read white women's histories for race. I'm reading in between all the lines. A Black feminist historian's eyes to say, let me reinterpret this.
And if you really do the local research, I know in my community, especially being in the South, my mom was like, you knew who to go to. You knew who had the
Those kitchen
herbs. You knew.
conversations.
And sometimes if you was sitting at the kitchen table at the right time, or if your grandma was washing clothes, you could find out what the recipe was. But I was just like, wow, that's really interesting to me, like these lived experiences and these choices that we make. But if we're not like really looking into that history, we can think that the choices that we make around reproductive justice are put on us by, you know, by white people. Because even I know there's like some people can't reconcile wanting to have a child and choosing to have a child with also feeling like, but women have the right to health care and abortion is health care. And so I think sometimes that's why people can't sort of reconcile in their mind reproductive justice because it's so black and white. Well, you know, if you're pro-choice, then you don't really care about, you know, birth and the maternal health rate and all of those things. But the lived experiences of Black women says something completely different. Like, we have to care about both. It's not black and white for us because of our history, you know, in this
But the majority
country.
of the people who have abortions already have kids.
Mm.
Okay? See,
True.
that's the myth that they
Yeah.
like to
True.
portray. The opponents of abortion portray women who have abortions as childless people.
Yeah.
No, the vast majority of people who seek abortions, 3/4 of them already have kids. So it's not like we don't know motherhood. We know the reality
They
of
know
motherhood.
exactly what they're choosing not to participate
Right.
in the
And
game.
they're trying to take care of the kids they already got. And
Right.
they say, I can't take another
Can't
kind of
do
thing.
it. Right.
I also want to mention my co-author, Marlene Gerber-Fried, because we've gotten well into this conversation. Marlene and I are longtime co-conspirators because it's rare that you meet a white woman who centers race as securely as I do. And I met her in the early days of the National Black Women's Health Project, where she used to come to our Sisters and Allies
Yeah, she
retreat.
talked about
And and I had to tell her stop centering her whiteness into our conversations, and she got the memo and got very clear on that. But one of the things we wanted to do in the writing of this book was to retell the story of reproductive politics through the lens of reproductive justice. Because when you hear the story of abortion in the United States, it's always what white women did and what happened to white women, as if it, Latinas, Black, women of color, trans people. None of that is even relevant to the dominant story on reproductive politics. So that's why we start with Indigenous women. We start with Black women, Asian women, Latinas, etc., telling those missing stories and laying breadcrumbs out there, because there still needs to be books written on, okay, what did immigrant women do in the 1600s, the 1700s, 1800s, who weren't white, about controlling their fertility? Because there has never been a period in history when women have sex with men that they're not trying to control their fertility. Ain't never happened. Ain't never happened. I mean, Emperor Augustus, ancient Rome, ordered upper class women to have more babies. Why? Because he didn't think they were having enough. I mean, you look at ancient hieroglyphics. There were recipes for abortifacients and contraceptives in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics. Matter of fact, contraceptive knowledge came from ancient Egypt into Europe.
I love in the book how the picture is much fuller. Like, you're not just talking about, like you said, like abortion rights, but while this is going on, you're also talking about the sterilization that's happening to Black women and the roots of population control and all of that. Because if they're trying to control the population, who do you think they're going to try to control first when you live in a white supremacist society?
If you don't understand the politics of white supremacy, you don't understand the politics of gender. And so that's why we offer such a sharp critique of people who use a very limited analysis and think that the bans on birth control and abortion and sex education is just about gender. No, it is about deciding which populations should prosper and reproduce and which ones should not. And now I've even invested in a concept called reproductive justice futurism, because we're looking at neo-eugenics, where they're using genomic and reproductive technologies to craft a future for humanity that does not include Black and brown people. When you look at them posters for designer babies, you don't see no Black babies on them posters.
Nope.
And so whether it's from 200 years ago or today, we are still having to fight for the fullness of humanity. Even with these asshole cousins,
and
we have
even
to
with
fight
that, I
again.
was recently reading about the reasons why Africa is coming back into leading. Well, has always led. We feel like but you know what I'm saying. And world power, because they look at things from a global perspective. They look at problems that don't just focus, they're human problems. And that's what I also hear in your work, like things that affect all humans, and that always pushes them to, leadership positions, but also that they always have the largest group of young people. That is a big threat to like European countries right now. They're having less children.
Well, the reality is Africa is the only continent capable
100%.
of being totally self-sufficient when it comes to natural resources. Africa has something every other country needs. And so that's why the new anti-colonial fights are so important right now. What's happening is people are refusing these colonial contracts where they're taking all the gold, the diamonds, the rubber, the uranium, the titanium, and all that kind of stuff. And a quarter of the world's people will live in Africa in a very short while, maybe another 50 or 60 years. And right now, the vast majority of the young people available for replenishing this dying global north are going to come from Africa and Asia. And they can't stand it. Their racism won't let them acknowledge that they are demographically doomed without Africa.
Hearing that is like, white people know that. White people are keenly aware of that, and they move accordingly. In the book, you also talk about the global reproductive justice movement. How do we move accordingly when it comes to that?
Well, I mean, there's some demographic changes that are going to happen no matter what we do, because the world is getting younger, browner, and queerer, and more female. That's just going to happen. There's nothing nobody can do to stop it. And that's one of the reasons these white men are so panicked, because their children are getting younger, browner, queerer, and more female.
Yes.
And they can't stop.
It's true.
You know, my best friend, Dazon Dixon Jallo, she talks about a concept that she calls rematriation, where she actually believed that it's going to be the women of the African continent combined with the Black women of the African diaspora who are going to work together to bring the ancient knowledge and the modern technology together.
Absolutely.
To save humanity. And we're going to do it using ancient philosophies way predating this individualistic, capitalistic enlightenment stuff like Ubuntu. The fact that we are humanly interdependent with each other. You know, my needs, my spiritual needs are my neighbor's material needs. I can't be right with God if I'm not right with my people. You know, these ancient philosophies are going to come together with our mastery of technology. And Octavia was right. We can do it differently.
Well, I don't have
I'm gonna
much
cry
else
as soon as we
left
press. I'm letting everybody know I'm holding it in. But as soon as we stop recording, I'm just gonna sit here, hold my puppy and cry and have a conversation.
Sob for a minute.
And also, I want to say the whole time we've been talking to you,
Yes.
you've had a smile on your face. You're filled with so much joy. And I just am just marveled and just want to really, deal with this anger and do some more healing, just sitting here watching you and knowing your journey, and you're sitting here with a smile the whole time and so much joy and so much excitement, and you're still learning, you're still seeking, knowledge, and it's been healing. It's been a reality check, a check on myself, and it's been inspiring. And I haven't been filled with a lot of hope lately, but sitting here with you is like,
Oh yeah.
we gonna do it. Like, we gonna do it. We gonna do it.
If you're not having fun fighting oppression, you need to check how you're doing it. Because I've always said, and this is what a white man taught me. He's the best anti-fascist I ever knew. We're going to celebrate his passing this year in Kansas City in a few months. He said, fighting Nazis should be fun, because it's being a Nazi that sucks.
Yeah.
So if you're on the side of justice and human rights, you're supposed to be living a life of joy, not a life of oblivion, but a life of joy in the struggle for justice and humanity. Let the other folks have the miserable lives.
Listen, this has been, Thea especially makes fun of me because there was a time when I got to meet Elaine Brown and have
Oh,
a,
yeah.
and have a conversation with her, and I always like refer back to that conversation. Like somebody can be talking about washing clothes,
Miss Ross,
and
we
I'll be
could
like,
be
yeah, that time
ordering
that I
French
met Elaine
fries.
Brown,
I'm like,
she
Kristen,
had
what do
on
you want
this.
to order? She's like, once when I sat with Elaine Brown, what I ordered was, and I'm like, ma'am, I would just like to know what we ordering for dinner.
What an honor it is to be compared to Elaine.
And
Yes.
so,
Yeah, this is a life-changing
this is
This is a
definitely a
life-changing
conversation.
conversation.
That's life-changing, and
Will
that
be
I
heavily
will,
referenced.
and will be
Yes.
heavily referenced.
Yes.
But we thank you. We thank you for being
Thank y'all
here.
for
Thank
inviting me
you.
and come
Thank
along
you.
and join on the fantastic voyage because it's so much
Okay.
fun being a Black woman. Don't you feel you were
Yeah.
designed for
She
this
said,
time?
I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I get
Yeah.
out of my own way, I do. I do.
Mm-hmm.
We were made for this moment. This is our lunch counter moment. We were too young to desegregate
Do
it
it
in the
now.
50s, but damn if we can't bring the 21st century into
Thank you
being
so much.
like it should
Yeah.
be.
Well, do you have anything coming up that you want to tell people about? I know you do the call-in classes.
Yeah, well, my book is I'm calling in, how to start making change with those you'd rather
Right
cancel.
now. Yeah.
That's the thing
Yeah.
I'm most passionate about right now because I'm really concerned that those of us who must fight fascism
This is the
are
facts.
spending too much
These are
time
the
fighting
facts.
each other.
Mm-hmm.
And the fascists
Come on.
are laughing all the way to our extermination.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
they're making no secret that they're eliminationists. They don't plan on having a democratic debate with us about our existence. And so for the last 10 years, I've not been focused on issues, but process. Because I believe that human rights will need the calling in practices the same way the civil rights movement needed the nonviolent practices. And we've got to build on all of that. Nonviolent calling in to build the human rights we all deserve.
And you have the workshops available as well that go along with the
I
book.
teach them online. My classes are only $5 because I always want to make them accessible to the people. And my website is my name, so they can be easily found.
And the book is Abortion and Reproductive Justice, an Essential Guide for Resistance. And it really is a guide. It really does provide a long view. And we don't have to guess about it, y'all. We can, they're giving us a blueprint.
I see you got it
I
earmarked.
do.
Yes.
I do highlighted and written in and all of that.
That's right.
So we don't have to guess. We have someone who created the framework that is still with us, that was so generous enough to give us a blueprint. So we don't have to figure it out by ourselves. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for the book.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank y'all for doing the work you're doing. Like I said, eventually I want to retire on the
The
beach,
bench
so
is
I
ready.
know
The
that
bench
the
is
bench is
ready.
ready to take
We're
over.
doing the work. We're
The
ready.
bench is ready. The bench is ready.
Thank you
ready.
so
All right.
much.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's time for our final segment that I know you all love. It is Black Mama Say, where we put our own spin on sayings that Black mamas have been repeating forever. Today's Black Mama Say is keep living. Keep living. Who's first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
So I'm going to kind of bring this full circle. We started out with our ancestor quote from Assata Shakur. So my keep living is rooted in the last paragraph of her autobiography. Get it while you can. We don't know how long this is going to be available. So get it while you can, friends. From a Black-owned bookstore or bookshop.org. As the plane swooped down over Havana, it seemed that my heart was beating on my ribs to get out. My stomach hurt. My mouth was dry like cotton. It seemed like a million people poured off the plane before the tall little girl with the great big eyes stared down the ramp. I could see my mother looking frail, yet so determined, with my aunt behind her looking triumphant. How much we had gone through. Our fight had started on a slave ship years before we were born. Vencimos, my favorite word in Spanish, crossed my mind. 10 million people stood up to the monster. 10 million people only 90 miles away. We were here together in their land, my small little family, holding each other after so long. There was no doubt about it. Our people would one day be free. The cowboys and bandits didn't own the world. Despite what the world looks like now, I'm going to keep living. I want y'all to keep living, because if Assata Shakur, who was exiled from America and could be standing on the shores of Cuba where she was living in exile, could believe that we would be free one day, then I feel like surely I can. And so it's been tough. This has been a tough year, particularly since the election. And there have been times when I wanted to throw up my hands on all of it, but we keep living. Keep living, because if she can believe, then surely I can too. And I'm gonna keep living as if I believe we will be free one day. Yeah. So that's my keep living.
Thee, you want to go or you want me to go?
I'm going to go.
Okay.
Those of us who feel called to big spiritual, cultural change work, if you are doing it with depth and vulnerability and authenticity, there will come moments where you don't just stand in light. You stand in a lot of shadow and a lot of dark. There'll be moments where you think, right, you think to be the good guy, to be the good person in the story. It means to stand in the light, but it really means to know and understand and not close your eyes or avoid and stop shielding yourself from the dark. To be able to experience like bliss and joy and all these things, you have to see the world with both eyes. You have to see yourself with both eyes. And so if you are doing this work and you only see yourself as the hero of the story or the good guy, or you only feel like you should only feel good, if you haven't had your heart broken or stomped on, or you haven't been humbled, I'm going to advise you to keep living, because you are not the spiritual warrior you believe you are just yet.
Ashe. You know, Thea,
it takes that.
That's like when you're sitting down, you're talking to your grandma, or you're sitting down talking to an elder.
Yeah.
And you know, and they just like,
keep living.
It ain't that clean. It ain't that clean. It ain't that simple. That's what that is. That's what that, like, when you said that, that's what that reminded me of. They just sit back and be like, you're not there yet.
Because from that place is where you will see who you are, not who you became, who you created, who you actually are. And it is hard to know yourself that way after decades of building an idea of who you are. It is hard to know that fundamentally, sometimes cellularly, sometimes biologically, you are not who you thought. But if it's the truth, it is what is required for you to become what you need to be to do the thing you claim you want to do. I say this because this is not just the era of like Trump and what they do, but this is the era of false prophets. This is the era of false activists. This is the era of people who will tell you what you should be and should be doing, and they're wearing the right thing and they're saying the right words. But pay attention. Pay attention to those who are only shrouding themselves in light and only casting themselves as good, and look for those who have some scars, a little bit of dark to them, because those are the only people who, from certainty, from the living, from the keep living, can say, this is what that is. You know, those are the only ones. Yeah. And when you talk about Assad and use that quote, I'm like, that's a person who had to do that. That's a person who grief shaped. That's a person who loss had to shape a certain. That's a person who fundamentally had to know some of the darkest things in order to see some of the loveliest things in some of the worst situations. One thing Iya told me, she said, you know what I love about you? You can always find like a shred of gold in a pile of shit. And I think I recognize that it's like if I didn't keep living through the dark stuff, I wouldn't have the eye for that sparkle of gold that I have now. So that's my keep living, and that's my also my warning. Don't get bamboozled.
Whew. Thank you both. Those were heavier. Black Mama Says than we usually have. Those were really special, though. I hope our folks are listening. I certainly was, and listening and learning and agreeing and all the things. Mine was just going to be.
Is it going to be petty? I pray it's petty.
It's not.
Okay, it's not. Okay, it's fine.
It's not. I have no petty.
I like this little flow. This is a nice little.
I also like petty.
It's just a wrap. Just a wrap back around. Our Black Mama card deck card was Bliss Awaits. And I feel like that's tied very nicely in with just keep living. When you were covering that card, Crystal, I kept seeing like the imagery of bliss just out of reach, within view, attainable. But the really magnificent thing about it is it's not running away from me. It's waiting for me to get there.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Keep living. Keep living.
Keep living.
Yeah.
Keep living.
Keep living.
Through the stuff that both of you talked about. You got to get through that stuff.
Yeah.
But bliss is waiting for you.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
I'll take it.
That's it.
Good. Okay. Let's close it out.
Okay. All right. So please follow us on Instagram at Dem Black Mamas Podcast. If you don't want to miss a minute of the magic, sign up for our newsletter, The Mothership, which includes reflections on conversations just like this that we've been having and hearing. And also, we always share a collection plate cause where we spotlight causes and initiatives that resonate with our community.
And don't forget to check out our website, www.demblackmamas.com. Dem Black Mamas is a conversation, so our inbox is always open. Send us your thoughts about the show, show us some love, and ask us some questions at magic@demblackmamas.com.
And be sure to listen and subscribe wherever you're getting your podcast, including YouTube. Don't just be looking at us right now. I want you to hit the subscribe button right now. Click on it right now. You did it. Thank you. Thank you. And check out our show syllabus, where anything that links for anything that we mentioned in this article, any information that we gave out, there's articles to back those things up. There's links to get to any events we have, anything that we talked about purchasing, will be in our show syllabus. And share this episode with at least one person who you feel can benefit from the episode, because sharing is not only caring, sharing is how we build community. And in closing, maintain,
expect,
abundance.
Oh, that's all we got. So we ain't got no more. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste.
Okay.